What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? That was another great clap. Today we have the Sig P365 family of guns, and we are going to compare them to the Shadow System's CR920 family of guns. Now, I struggled a lot with the notes on this video because there's like 3 different versions of the Shadow Systems. There's like at least a dozen different versions of the Sig, and then if you start looking at the aftermarket support, there's a million different versions. So how am I going to compare these? So what I'm going to try to do is we're going to try to go through all the different versions of both and compare most of them and talk about the differences. Hopefully give you enough information on which one you might prefer, and we'll see what rabbit hole we go down and how long this video ends up being. Before we get into the guns, I need to pay the bills, as they say. We got another sponsor of the video. It is PTS Barricades. I've had mine for about a year, and it's held up extremely well. PTS Barricades makes some full size and some smaller barricades. All of the barricades are foldable, detachable, and expandable. It's pretty cool, especially if you have limited space, whether it be in the vehicle or the storage near your range, whatever. So the barricade itself collapses up and down on itself. It's also detachable if you want to take it apart, and then the base folds up as well. So if there's limited space or you have a car or whatever the scenario is, PTS Barricade has you covered. So do me a favor, please, after this video, the link is down in the video description. Click the link, check them out. Like I said, I had mine for about a year. It's held up really well. So thank you to PTS Barricades for sponsoring this video. Extremely nice of them. All right, let's start with the Shadow System. So the CR920, there's 2 different versions. They have the Elite and the Combat. The Elite is the higher end one. You get some slide cuts. You get some more serrations. You have your choice of a fancy black or an extremely fancy gold barrel. Those are the 2 different versions of the CR920. The P version, the CR920p, you add a very nice, very effective pistol comp. It is a detachable comp, and it is a tri-lug adapter. They did a great job designing it where it's very easy to take on and off. You don't have to time it. You don't need Loctite. It's great. It's still very effective. A lot more effective than the Sig Spectre comp, which we'll talk about in a minute. All comp guns can be a little finicky if you don't know. This particular one has run great, well over 1,000 rounds, not one malfunction. Even with 115 grain, it's eating it all. But sometimes, especially Shadow Systems guns in the beginning, some of them do require a break-in period, so you may have a little break-in period. But this has been flawless. But just know, anytime you get into any comped guns, they can be a little finicky. So those are the models. Magazines, you have a 10-round magazine and you have a 13-round magazine. That's what it comes with the factory. In Shadow Systems, we need a 15-round magazine, please and thank you. The grip texture is great. It feels good. It looks good. The angle's good. I love the grip texture. The magazine release is fine. Good spot, good shape, works well. No issues there. The trigger is good. I'm not going to say it's great, but it is good. It's very good for a concealed carry gun. We're going to take a 2-second break so you can get up close and personal with the trigger, and I will be right back. Alright, on all these Shadow Systems, you have a small 1913 rail, so any really small light, like a Streamlight TLR7 sub, stuff like that, will fit on here, no problem. And there's a standard, unlike the Sig, it's a standard 1913 rail, which is good. Slide stop, slide release is small, tucked away, but still very usable if you choose to use it as a slide release like I do. It's only on the left side of the gun, not on the other side for your righty. Slide is all good as well. The one thing I really want to call out Shadow Systems that they do well is going to be the aesthetics. All of their guns look extremely nice. They're kind of Gucci Glocks. This is a Glock 43 clone, somewhat, and they nail the aesthetics. They're very good looking guns. So the serrations on all of them are great. They're angled forward and they're very grippy. They're deep enough, and the serrations are excellent. Sights are good as well. They don't give you any plastic sights, nor does Sig. They give you metal sights, which is good, unlike the Glock sights. They give you night sights. They partner with Night Vision. Night Vision makes great sights. The rear sight is blacked out, has a good ledge. The front sight has a very bright yellow circle around a tritium vial, A++ on the sights. The other thing that is dope is going to be the optics cut. Shadow Systems nails the optics cuts on all their guns. 1, you screw right down to the slide. There's no silly accessory plates. 2, you do not lose the rear sight. And the way you fit different sights is they come with this little plastic filler, I'm going to call it. And depending on the gun, you either put it in front of or behind the optic. They're all a little different, not hard. You put the filler, you screw it down, you are good to go. It's as simple as that. Taking it down is the same as a Glock. Obviously, we're going to make sure it's unloaded because we don't want to send a round through the wall and into my neighbor's house. Pull back on the slide slightly, pull down on the takedown levers, pull the trigger, and the slide comes right off. You will see it has a dual captured recoil spring, all good, and that fancy barrel that I mentioned. All Shadow Systems have very pretty barrels with some fluting on it, and you can get, again, gold or you can get black, whatever makes you happy. Are you still with me? Let's move on to the Sig, and this is where things get very confusing. Sig has a million different models. There's just so much. This is a standard grip for a P365. Then they have the XL version, which is the longer slide and longer grip. Then they came out with the X version, which is the longer grip with the shorter slide, and that's how I rocked it for a very long time. They have the X Macro now, which is beautiful. I love the X Macro. It's a little bigger, much higher capacity. They did a great job with that. They have a 380 version, different colors, a rose, SAS. You can go on the website and look at them all. I'd be here for an hour if I told you all about them. Now, the beautiful thing about the Sig is the FCU, the fire control unit, the trigger mechanism that's in there lifts out. You pop a pin, you lift the FCU out, and it allows you to customize the gun, be very modular, swap different grips. So for example, this FCU you see here started as a bone stock P365. Then it went to a P365 XL. Then it went to a P365 XL with this comp from Parker Mountain Machine. Then it went to a Wilson grip. Now it's in an Icarus Precision grip, and it is just obnoxiously nice. It is the nicest micro compact, nicest shooting and looking micro compact gun that I have ever seen, in my opinion. Now granted, I took a $600 gun, I put a $400 compensator on it, a $400 grip on it, a $200 light, $400 optic. So there's a lot of money in the gun to get to this point. Even the sights are XS sights. There's another 100 and change on it. So a lot of money dumped into it. And granted, I didn't pay for most of that stuff. I was given it, but if you want something super Gucci, if you want the nicest thing to carry, this is the way to do it. Anyway, the Sig, 10, 12, 15, and 17 round magazines. This is a 10 round magazine, unfortunately, but you have a lot of options when it comes to magazines. The grip texture is decent. I think the Shadow Systems win on the aesthetics of the grip and the texture. I think it just looks and feels a little bit nicer. Now the trigger that standard P365 comes with is a curved trigger. A lot of the older 365s came with that curved trigger, and the curved trigger is okay. This one has a ton of rounds through it, so it's broken in quite nicely. The P365 XL and a lot of the higher end ones, like the Spectre that comes with the comp, has a flat trigger. Flat face trigger is definitely a lot nicer than the curved one. So I'll say the curved Sig trigger out of all three of these is probably the lowest. Then I'd put the Shadow Systems second, and then I'd put the Sig flat face one third, first. Best out of all three. So 5-second break again. You can take a look at this curved trigger, and I'll be right back. Again, keep in mind that trigger has thousands of rounds on it. You can look back at all my videos and how many. I only have one P365 FCU, and it's been in dozens and dozens of videos. So there's a lot of rounds on that trigger. Just keep that in mind. Maybe I should start replacing stuff. Anyway, the rail. On this Icarus Precision Grip, it's a standard 1913 rail. But if you get any of the Sig P365s, most, not the X Macro, but the 365, the X, the XL, does have a proprietary rail. So if you want to put a light on it like this one here, you have to get something that's made specifically for that rail. And there's good aftermarket support now, but it is a proprietary rail, just so you know. The slide release is good. Again, I don't ride it. It's in a good spot. If you choose to use it as a release, it works well for me. I like it. I have nothing to complain about. The slide is good. It looks good, it's durable, it's held up really well. The serrations are good. No doubt the serrations on the Shadow System are significantly better than the Sig, but the Sig are very good, usable serrations. I am not complaining. Sig sights are great as well. I love the Sig sights. They have them. They're called X-ray sights, which most of the P365s come with. On the X-ray sights, I don't have one here to show you, but the front is a green tritium, a green circle around a tritium vial. The rear is blacked out as well, and good ledge. Great, the X-ray sights are good. I also do like the optics cut on the 365. When this first came out, this gun right here, you did lose the rear sight when you get the optics version. I had this cut aftermarket. Somebody else cut it for me, but you did. Now with all the new ones, especially the X and the XL and the Spectre and all the other ones we're talking about, the optic gets screwed right down to the slide. No accessory plates. You don't lose the rear sight. All good there. Now, I don't really care about this myself, but some folks may. When you disassemble the Sig, you do not have to pull the trigger. And as much as I discredit that, there's a lot of folks that care about that. So we're going to lock the slide to the rear. Again, triple check, make sure the gun is loaded. Pull the takedown lever down, and once you do that and send the slide forward, the slide comes right off of the gun. Again, that pin in the rear, if you pop that pin, that is how the FCU comes out. You just lift the FCU right out and you are good to go. Again, it has a dual captured recoil spring, and then I'm not going to take this barrel out because the comp's on it and I don't feel like dealing with all of that, but normally the barrel would slide right out as well. Alright, let's spend a couple seconds. Whoa, I almost put it together wrong. Let's spend a couple seconds talking about the different comps that you see here. So, the Sig Spectre. The Sig Spectre, I've done a dedicated review if you want more details on it. It is a P365 XL slide, and they have the regular length barrel, so the barrel doesn't go all the way to the end of the slide, and they cut some holes in the top of the slide. So technically not a comp, it's more of like a ported slide. It does help cut down the felt recoil. If you compare the Spectre to a standard P365, it does help cut down some of that felt recoil. It's very, very reliable. You're almost never going to have any problems because it's not a true comp. It's just porting up some of the gases through the slide. So if you're worried about reliability, consider the Spectre. It's, out of all of these, it's the least effective comp, but the most reliable comp. And it's kind of, that's where you get. Now the Shadow System's comp is going to be right in the middle. It is still reliable. It's not quite, it's more effective than the Sig Spectre. Like, it kills more of that felt recoil, in my opinion, than the Sig Spectre does. Again, it's, you don't have to time it, you don't have to Loctite it. It's tri-lug, it's quick detach. Shadow Systems did a great job with that one. Now, the one I think that is the most effective, in my opinion, is going to be the Parker Mountain Machine comp. It's the one I have on my Sig carry gun. It is the compensator that's most effective. It takes a little bit more work to put it on than the others. It is not hard. If you have some basic skills, you can put it on. All you have to do is time it, just like a muzzle device on a rifle, to make sure when you tighten it down, it's facing vertically as you put it down. So you have a couple different shims you put in there. You figure out what combination of shims you need so it times vertically. I would throw some Loctite on there as well. I believe Parker Mountain Machine recommends that. And then once you do, it's good to go. I've had this comp on here for a couple of years now. I've never taken it off. I just clean and lube around it, and it hasn't come loose or anything. So the Parker Mountain Machine is probably, in my opinion, is by far the most effective of all these comps, but also the one you're more likely to have problems with. Not that it's bad, but it's so effective, it eats up most of that felt recoil. And if you have a new gun with a tight spring, you're shooting really weak ammo, like 115 grain ammo, you're more likely to have any problems. Again, I've had very, very few problems with this gun. When it gets super dirty and super dry, because I don't clean guns, sometimes I'll have some issues with it. But overall, the Parker Mountain Machine Gun is just, it's been flawless. Before we get into the pros and the cons, if you want to know a little bit about the testing I've done, again, I've said this a few times with the Sig. This is my carry gun. I have done dozens of different videos around this gun, between the several different Icarus grip, the Mistiff machine grips, Wilson combat grips, different lights, different optics. You can look through the channel and see there is, I'm not exaggerating, not a keyboard warrior when I say thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds through it. it is legit documented thousands and thousands of rounds through it. The Shadow Systems I haven't had as long, but I think I have a respectable amount of rounds through it. The CR920 probably has close to 1,000, if not over that. Again, I've used this gun to test several different things. This Safariland holster, for example, this crossbreed holster. Look at that. Look, come on camera, focus. Woo, wee. Sprinkles holster. This, I've had several different optics on this, so at least 1,000 rounds. I'm not counting. This is the 920p. I have not had it as long, but I think I have more rounds on it because that comp shoots so nice. And then I got to give it, that crossbreed holster is super comfortable. So as much as I prefer the Sig gun and the Sig gun shoots better, the crossbreed holster is more comfortable for the Shadow Systems. So I find myself grabbing that often because it is so comfortable. Probably 1,000 rounds ish on that, maybe a little more, I don't know. But again, it's had 2 or 3 different optics on there, a couple different holsters. That's where the rounds are coming from. Alright, as we get into the pros, I'm going to apologize. I got to look down. I can't remember all this stuff on the top of my head. The first one for the Sig I remember is the FCU. The removable FCU is by far the biggest pro. The thing I like the most. Pop that pin, take it out, and you can customize the gun and do so many different things, and it's fun. I dig it. They do a good job with the optics cuts now. The first one, again, you lost the rare sight. The rest of them you don't. I like that. Sig X-ray sights. Some folks have trouble with green. As long as you're not colorblind to green, you'll like it. I think they're great. I love the X-ray sights. If I didn't say it, they are steel. The wide variety of options, like I mentioned several times. Again, there's like a dozen different P365. So if you want this or that or this, they have it covered. There's a lot of them. They're made in the U.S. They're a fair price. And they did have some hiccups when they first came out, but now I think the P365 family of guns is good to go. I would not carry it every single day if I didn't think it was a good quality, reliable guns. Shadow Systems. They exist because Glock doesn't change with the times. They take a Glock family of gun, a Glock pattern gun, and give you all the changes you want. They have a much better optic system than Glock. They have much better sights than Glocks. The aesthetics, not even close. They're way more aesthetically pleasing guns. They look really, really well. They're made in the U.S. They shoot extremely well. Like I said, the optics cut is dope. Steel sights is dope. Serrations are great. Very, very aggressive serrations. The grip texture is good. I'm a very big fan of Shadow Systems. I own 4. I'm looking over here because that's where I keep them on the wall. I own 4 different Shadow Systems, and I am a very big fan of them. Overall, I don't know which one to tell you to get. Hopefully I laid them out, the pros, the cons, the benefits of each. Hopefully I gave you enough information to make an educated decision. The best thing always is to try to go to a local range that rents guns and rent them. If not, at least go to a gun store and get them in your hands. You can tell a lot which gun you're going to prefer by how it feels. So get them in your hands, see which one feels good for you. Just remember, the smaller the gun, typically the harder it is to shoot. As you go a little bigger, it's going to be significantly easier. So if you compare like the 365 to the 365 XL, it makes a big difference when you go to a slightly bigger gun, especially if you have big hands. So I'm going to say try them, get your hands on them, see which one feels good to you. These are my 2 carry guns. Oh, no, wrong one. The CR920p and the Sig P365 XL modified, whatever it is. These are the guns that I carry, almost 50-50 split. And again, I wouldn't trust my life to them and my family's life and my safety and security if they weren't good guns and I didn't trust them. I guess there's nothing else I can say. Not a better thing I could say about them besides I trust my life to them every day, and I always have them near me around the house. And yeah. I will put some affiliate links down in the video description. If you're looking to get some of these, hopefully I can find you a good deal. Check the links, hook me up, hook yourself up, and yeah, the sponsor of the video, PTS Barricades. Again, I've had mine for over a year. It's holed up very, very well. Shot it a bunch. I think there's a hole in it, if I remember correctly. Some knucklehead at the range put a hole in it. No, it wasn't me. But it's held up extremely well. Foldable, collapsible, expandable, all that good stuff. Link is down in the video description. Check out PTS Barricades, and a lot of different options and colors and thickness of wood, and they do a good job. And the other thing I didn't mention is I've met the owner of PTS Barricades several times, and he is one of the nicest guys. And his kids, I've met his kids, so nice. If that's as important to you as it is to me, super, super nice guys. and they have good product as well. I started some email marketing. A bunch of people kept on telling me they weren't getting notified when my videos came out, so I'm going to send like 1 or 2 emails per month with all the big videos in it. The website's Tiberious Gib if you want to sign up. Again, there's a video link down in the video description, and yeah, you can sign up for that. We have swag if you want to look cool in an extra sexy, soft-fitting shirt. The link to Tiberious swag is down in the video description. All right, I'm done shilling. I'm done talking. This is probably a 20-minute video. If you're stuck to this point, you are a dedicated Tiberious fan, and I appreciate you. I love you. If you think I deserve it, like, comment, subscribe, enable the bell notification. That, all kidding aside, that stuff really, really helps, especially subscribing to the video. Santa appreciates it. Santa will buy you a Shadow Systems if you subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys next time. Peace!